Call to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any public comment? Do we have any public? Okay. Emily James in the back. Approval of May 4th, 2022 minutes.
Just a correction on minutes.
Okay.
Chris, I emailed you that the motion 2221 wasn't made to approve the UBMD request. It was made to table the discussion on staff medevac.
So it was made to table
You have made a table that you discussion on
versus
staff medevac.
approve?
It didn't have anything to do with UBMD. That was the previous motion, 2220.
Probably, yeah. Okay. I'll make the changes. So it just we made a table that, okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th with the amendment?
Motion.
We got a motion, we got a second, Marcy. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Correspondence.
Just had three, one from Hogan Willig with statement of general matters, AMR nominations for EMS awards, and the council email, I got an application for membership for Michael Hyde. That's it.
Anything in correspondence? Treasurer's report?
The treasurer's report was submitted by email. The fourth quarter expenditures, as you can see, were $6,280. Trying to think what other extra. Does anyone have any questions on what I did distribute? This is our fourth quarter. 3 of our previous quarters I did submit claims for reimbursement, and we did receive payment for those 3 quarters. I will be submitting the fourth quarter claim as soon as everything is finalized for this quarter. There may be another expenditure that I can expense from we have $1,207 under contractual services for Hogan Willig. We may have a bill for June that I have not received yet, and I can make payment of that invoice out of those monies. Other than that, I'm not sure what other expenditures we may have unless we have anything for the awards banquet, the training session at our annual meeting coming up August 31st, if we're able to pay for the hall rental out of those monies, which would be under other, and there's $5,500 left in there. So I'm not sure what the hall rental may be. Do you have an idea, Greg, of what that might
No.
be?
I'll find out today. After I leave here, I go to the next meeting, I can find out what it would be.
Because those expenditures were approved for this fiscal year that is just ending. Are there any questions?
I guess the only thing I have is, if I may, all right, is we're sending back money and stuff like that. I'm not positive as to exactly what we can spend the money on. When they say training, we've tried to put it towards training, and we've been told that we can't put it towards training programs and stuff like that. I'm not sure what we can actually do with some of the money. The money goes towards the operation of the council, some areas put it towards rent in office space, and I don't think that we need to go that way just to spend money. But I don't know, Bill, do you have any insight on? So if there's any ideas on how we can fund or facilitate, is particularly for retention and recruitment, right?
Yeah, we were.
That's a big one.
I had inquired about and I know we'll probably talk about this during the budget, but committee report. I'd spoken to a new person at the Department of Health, and they said that we can use it for training purposes and education purposes for recruitment and retention, as long as it's not for food or out-of-state expenses, any kind of travel that way. So I can get more clarification on that. We can, if they also stated that we should say, what is that? Including but not limited to recruitment and retention, so that maybe we can even broaden it further. They seem to be accepting of covering certain things for training, whether it's for us or whether we host some type of training sessions.
Is there some special topic that would benefit all, you know, have a host at someplace, one style or whatever? There's some hot topic, you know, I don't know,
DEI.
But they beat me up with that, but.
What did we mean on?
Recruitment retention.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we can go with something timely, which is what is going on right now with all the violence that's out there. We can go with a lot of things. I mean, I just, in the,
Like right now is like active shooter training.
Yeah.
Refresher training, a lot of agencies did do that, you know, we're taking a look at that, but, you know, bring in some new presenters for 3 hours, 4 hours. That's the hot topic now, for sure, in school, coming back in here.
did you have something else?
I just said DEI. That's the biggest thing that we're pushing in State Fire right now. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah,
Which by making the teams more inclusive, hopefully, that works on retention, so. What's that? Oh, yeah.
I smell a tag coming up.
Do you wanna talk about that during the budget too?
All right, we can bring in a little more, just get some ideas together where we can go, because there's a lot of things we can do. In the past, they got very tight with the money, and we were doing some training. We would fund an ATLS class and stuff like that. They cut us off, and it sounds like they're starting to loosen up just a little. So any ideas we could try to forward?
Are we talking recruitment and
forge ahead.
retention for the council or for EMS in general?
I would say EMS in general. I mean,
EMS volunteer, EMS in general.
the only way we can help membership here is if we start moving to Wyoming County. Tax base is good.
Get that going.
Yeah. Okay. So let's ponder that. Anything else there, Madonna?
I'm sorry?
Anything else?
Not that I can think of. All other expenditures have been covered. All our other expenses have been covered.
At UBMD, does anything come up? Anybody call asking for classes, anything? Do they give you any ideas that what they're needing out there?
They don't, and if they did, I would definitely share it with the WEREMSCO here, but I've not had anybody really necessarily request it.
I mean,
I know in the past, years ago, when they were kind of making a change on the budget and really tightening down the belts, they said whatever you use for training and education has to benefit all providers.
right. Not just the select few that attend.
Yeah, I know back then, Big Lake went out and bought a bunch of CPR manuals for anybody using the regions.
Yeah, we had tried doing that, and then they told us that we couldn't purchase it. But again, 10 years later, who knows?
Well, to piggyback off there, saying on the fire side, a lot of obviously the frontline leadership and the FDIC stuff instructors, like you get a lot of battalion chiefs or division chiefs out of New York City, so on and so forth. If there's a way we get an EMS chief or EMS division out of St. Louis, or even you see him writing articles in Firehouse magazine or whatever, but and come in and present on a topic, like you said. Well, Orchard Park was the last one, you know, that they had a couple years ago. Even, you know, Lombardo does a trip around.
Yeah.
But anything on, you know, we're doing more or less, you know, have one of the topics or of the hour of the 3 hours on triage. You know, because first and last out, and let's be honest, your second rig may be coming 2 minutes or maybe coming 20 minutes, you know, down the road. So I mean, and that's just regular car accidents, not even counting the school shootings or, you know, or the different type of MCIs that we encountered. But just think, those are always, I mean, the fireside stuff is always really well attended, that there's always no spots available, there's a waiting list that we could, because it's the expert over the hill, if we could find something along that line.
The county, Erie County had tried to have a presentation by a major from the airport to talk about a real response to the airport if something significant happened, stuff like that. There wasn't much response. Now, you do something in July, I mean, I had nothing to do in July, but apparently other people did. So, I mean, things like that. So we'll try to think of some topics. We'll get together and try to expand that.
Approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Strike here. Do I have a second? Anything else on the question? All in favor? Any opposed? Medical Advisory Committee, I don't have anything from them. Anything that you guys pick up anything? When was the last meeting? I forgot. I didn't attend the last Medical Advisory Committee meeting.
That should be coming up.
Coming up?
Next 2 weeks.
No, it was 3 weeks ago. So they're adjourned.
Oh,
They're adjourned for summer.
Yeah.
The biggest conversation was about 2209s and the issue being intoxicated patients creating backlog in ECMCs.
Yeah.
So it was encouraged from all of the physicians that anybody intoxicated, doesn't have an ECMC worthy condition, it just needs to metabolize the intoxicant to go to any hospital. They don't have to be dragged all the way to ECMC, citing several cases of people who come from far enough off to be sober upon arrival at ECMC.
Well, that couldn't have been much of a bender.
Or it was a hell of a ride.
That's true. I'm not part of the conversation at the Medical Advisory Committee, but there's been a lot of discussion about CPAP and all that, bringing people in from the outer areas, particularly from Niagara County. They've instituted something now where police transport without ambulance. And part of me says that's a great idea. Why tie up an ambulance if there's no medical situation? But then the other part of me is, well, what if something happens? You know, that's become a bit of a bone that ECMC is dealing with right now. So we'll see more for that in the future. Anything else you remember there? Okay. State Council, the next meeting is the 18th and 20th. They're trying to get back to in-person meetings. The chair was very specific with, I'll call, a bit of a brandishing at the last meeting about attendance in person, that he wants things to get back to in-person meetings, understanding that at times you need to call in, you can't make it, or you have to leave or something like that, but he's very specific about in-person meetings. So we'll see where that goes. July 18th, well, no, July 19th and 20th. I go on to 18th. And it's back up at in Troy at the Hilton Gardens. They did the little egg attempt, and I couldn't make that hill 4 times a day, I'll tell you. So that'll be there. They did form a group, a tag that had to deal with physician fly cars. And so I haven't seen anything more on that. Bob's on it, the committee with me. The only thing I said in the beginning, and hopefully you support me, is that the physician is in a car that's not part of an agency. The council has nothing to say about it. I can't stop them from getting in a car that's not, something that's certified by the state. And that didn't go too far. But there's a lot of discussions. There's a lot of variety that goes across the state for everything from an organized part of an agency, part of a municipality, or I put stuff in the back seat of my car and move the kid's seat when I go to a call. One of the things that happened from downstate, I think it was Long Island, was they were asked how many responses, and out of the 180,000, they said 10 or 11. It's like, it's not cost effective, but I mean, whatever. So that tag is still going on. I haven't gotten anything else in weeks. There was the one phone call and nothing after that, but that seems to be one of the hot topics. And I don't think it was generated by here. I think it's more downstate and closer to the mecca of knowledge. Erie County is still dabbling in COVID. We still have some clinics for testing and vaccinations. So we've really reduced the number of hours. Now we're making our plans on monkeypox, particularly effort to get out the information about how you can contract monkeypox. So that's been pretty much what Erie's been busy with, and I think that's it. We're having I think 9 EMT classes and 1 ALS class. We're still doing ALS classes, and I can't write the stuff as fast as Mr. Brunner and his associates put classes out. So we've had a fairly good, what?
We do all right.
Okay, that's true. Okay, reading. How's that? So we've had quite an uptick in the request for EMT training, which I think is encouraging. It's just getting them to get through to the end. All right, which has been, we've tried a couple of things. We've tried the academy style, the shortened ones, the longer ones, and it depends on the group. We're doing a lot with Buffalo Fire, just finished their recruit class, and they did fairly well. We're doing something with the Customs and Border Patrol now to get all their people up on as EMTs too. So a lot of stuff's happening there. I think that's it for Erie County. Wyoming County, Mr. Stryker.
COVID's, we're doing okay with that. Some of the hurdles we have right now are staffing capabilities within the hospital, but that we've overcome that to this point. Been working with agencies to try and get the skills submitted on time, so that's been a process. Also dealing with the new EMS cost recovery legislation that's out there, trying to understand that, and working with the agencies who might be billing and who might not be. It's quite a hurdle. There's a lot of variances to the law, the way it's been fleshed. And then just working in general, we've met probably 10 months ago to discuss the future of EMS in the county, what will best serve the volunteers and the county people as well. So just still working through that process. That's about it.
Anything for Mr. Stryker? Western New York Stress. They've had 4 debriefings since our last meeting. Not a lot, but I guess that's a good sign too.
They're coming to Wyoming County tomorrow night.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't think that's included. Budget. Committee reports, budget.
First of all, I have to apologize to my committee members. I never got a hold of anybody to get together as a committee to go through the budget for this coming year. I was waiting for answers from DOH, Bureau of EMS to, they're working on a new, first of all, to hear whether our contracts for the next 2 years, they have 2-year contracts that have now, I just found out, were approved, but they have not issued the new budget template that will be coming out to utilize in putting a budget together. Although I was told I can use our current budget if there are some changes we want to make currently, or we can do so if we choose and move monies around later or after they give us the new template. They have not initialized the new contracts in the system yet in Grants Gateway. Once they do that, I can start entering, all of our documents and whatever budget that is approved. Do you know anything more about contracts or?
All I know is that the WEREMSCOs were approved last week. We're still waiting for ours to be approved.
Okay, but and there's nothing I can do at this point until they initialize it in this other
Because you'd need a,
But as far as the budget, I'm not sure how we wanna handle that. If, I was just proposing going with what we currently have, other than I was thinking it would be a good idea to move $250, or it would be necessary to move $250 from our other category. If you look on our one expenditure sheet, and I should have just sent this out, whether it was gone over by the committee or not. Under other, we have, this section 4, that includes our annual membership meeting and training. That'll be coming up August 31st. The Western New York Stress Reduction Team, and also education and training, which they recommended we state including but not limited to EMS recruitment and retention. I took $250 out of the training portion and put it into, moved it to operating expenses to cover the annual subscription renewals that we now have for the QuickBooks software annual fee, to cover that. Not sure if that'd be agreeable to everyone. Everything else in the budget remained the same. I talked with Greg, and he said maybe it would be a good idea to keep $2,000 under the annual membership meeting / training, to cover expenses, and the stress reduction is $2,500. Education and training would be $3,290 for now, which is $250 less than what we had before. We are able to move monies, I was told by Shannon Gonzala from DOH, as we go. Our contractual services, we really can't change anything there unless you wanna reduce the amount for the attorney fees. We never know what's going to come up that needs to be handled. I had that at $4,000, and we've used, if you look on the treasurer's report, we've used, let's see, 12,000 for it. We still have $1,200 out of 4,000 remaining, but we also have the bill from June that I'm gonna try to cover with that. So I'm not sure if we wanna reduce that at all. Other things that don't change much, of course, are, as I said, stress reduction, the $500 for utilizing the hall for our meetings, the contractual services for new EMS remains the same, $3,000 quarterly. So the only thing really remaining
No.
that we have.
no, that's changed.
That's going down.
Is that, oh, yes,
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
22.
I apologize, we did have it
22?
going down.
2,200.
20. Okay. So that adjusted amount, she said if we wanted to put it into, I forgot about that, into the training portion, and we don't have to know at this point exactly what trainings we're going to apply it to. We can do that as the year progresses. So I could put that extra
think-
money into,
I think we put it towards training, instead of making it that it's a trauma life support class where 20 people can go and we'll cover the 20. I think what they're looking at is one speaker or one training that it's open to anybody, whoever shows up, shows up. So I think if we do 4 of those a year or 3 of those a year, based on whatever we think the topics are important to do. And then we'll move it around the counties. I think that's where we'll be able to utilize that money. Do you think there's value to us sending a letter to the sponsors and saying, notify us in writing of any classes that you have?
It definitely wouldn't hurt.
Just in case we miss the other side of it at the state until they can get their stuff together. Because like you said, you had no idea that
I
I'm doing
know.
9, 10 classes.
I don't know, great, good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I've already requested both sides of that. Send it to the course sponsors and then send it to the state, please notify us of any classes you approve.
Okay. Can you describe that? All right.
Does that
I'll do
does that come from me or from,
I can sign it.
huh?
I'll sign it.
So send it from, okay.
I can actually be here by the 18th. I'll take it with me. I'll take it with me and hand it to them. All right. Anything else for training ed?
Nope.
Bylaws, Mr. Burke.
Nothing.
Awards. Well, the committee got together, we did have a number of awards that were submitted. We tried to send it out on different types of social media, and I'm not sure how well we permeated the community, but we did get a number of awards requests, and we did, there were competing categories. So I've notified everybody on the list, so I'll tell you who they are. All right, for agency, it's Chafee Sardinia. For ALS provider, Mr. Arquette. For BLS provider, is it Joni Johnson? Jenna Johnson. All right, for communications, Amy Butcher. For educator, Sharon Hughes. For leadership, Ed Major. And for nurse, Lori. Thank you. And Dr. Mangione for physician. So we didn't really have anything last year to submit, but we have a good batch here. It was sent out on the 30th. I didn't get a mailer demon, so I called up to ask for acknowledgement that I got it. I haven't got the acknowledgement yet. I notified Ed Major for him to do the backside and make sure that they have it in their hands. I sent another copy of it electronically without a mailer demon, and I also sent a phone call asking for an acknowledgement. All right, because sometimes they're working out of their houses, they're working all over the place. I just want to make sure that everything's there. So that, sure. And thanks to the committee for turning it around really fast. Thank you. I was kind of nervous about the timeline. It had to be in on July 1st. So that leads us to the awards dinner. We had talked earlier about having a dinner for August 31st, and the primary spot was going to selection spot was going to be Hillcrest, and it wasn't going to be much ado. It'll be a short catering. I'll get the auxiliary to like serve and stuff like that, so we don't have to do too much. But I'll start working on that if that's what we still want to do. Is the date August 31st okay for everybody? For most people? This will be the first one that Madonna is not out of town for. In 10 years?
No, I am.
You told me you were gonna stay.
No, it's fine. I've been to other ones.
You always don't want your trip on.
We're gonna have a domestic here. Can you shut that off just for a minute?
One of my foreign exchange sons from France
You
is
said
getting
how to
married
shift things
September
around now.
3rd. No.
It's like being home.
I
Okay.
have been to quite a few over the years. 20 years.
All right, so, well, unless there's somebody that wants to say no, 31st, Hillcrest is in Orchard Park. It's about 10 minutes from here. And I'll send out more details. If anybody wants to help with arrangements and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to share the wealth here and split up the duties. The typical thing was to make a certificate that's in a frame, which our funds allow us to pay for the frame. And then also we've given, I don't know how we got on clocks, but we've been given clocks, and it's I like it. So unless there's a suggestion for something different, that's what we'll do again. And Zemi takes care of the purchasing of the clocks, and the name, and there's a little name plate on it with what they got. And we also invite everybody from the council. In the past, we've invited any significant other from the council. We've used to invite a whole plethora of dignitaries, but we've narrowed that down in the past to basically state reps, maybe a medical director, county medical director, something like that, but we've really cut that down. So members, their significant others, the award winner brings somebody, and then what happens is sometimes there's a they're part of a group like with the Chafee Sardinia. They might want to bring a couple people. In the past, what we've done is we looked at how many people that are coming, and if it's anything over the first two, then we tell them that we're going to charge them for it, but we've never had to really charge anybody for it. So that's the plan right now. Anything on it? So we'll set with the 31st. I'll leave here, and I'll make sure I have the 31st. It'll be inside. We have the ability to go outside to Grove. If it's a nice day or hot, we'll make that call later. It's always been casual. Many years ago it was a little more formal, but it's been casual for the last 20 years. So, anything on it? Yes, I'm getting whispered to here. We're also, in order to help us use the state funds, it'll also include a speaker that'll give us a specific type of training during the situation that'll help us divert some of the funds to take care of that. I'll be looking for other funds to support once I figure out how much it's going to cost us. But it won't. It's not overly fancy, but at least we'll be able to recognize some folks for doing some good work. All right. Anything on that? And it's staggered distance to my house. So, we normally don't provide alcohol at these things. In the past, there's been occasionally a cash bar, but it's such a short thing. We don't go through all that anymore. All right. That's it. New York State, DOH, Ed said he couldn't make it till they get a competing mission, and nothing for the executive board. Program agency.
Good evening, everyone. I'll actually be short tonight. I did send my report out ahead of time. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight. As of yesterday when I was writing this up, we had 38 agencies from Erie and 4 from Wyoming County that still have not submitted their credentialing. If the agency obviously still needs to submit those, they would need to reach out to either myself or Karen, and we will accommodate getting that accomplished for them. As mentioned, the state meeting is coming up here in 2 weeks. And the big news that I wanted to bring up is, while it's been in the works for several years, apparently, finally, we have been positioned to move our offices out of ECMC and into the corporate office off Goodhill Street, which is right next to the city mission. So what Karen and I are asking is due to this transition period and the fact that there's a bunch of vacations looped in July. First, if you have anything that needs to be accomplished by the end of the month, please get with us sooner rather than later so we can get that done in the next 2 weeks. For some reason, we ended up on vacation at the same time. I don't know how that happened, but whatever. And the other thing that we ask is, if you need some non-critical things from us, please be patient from the time frame from July 15th till July 29th, because with the transitioning, IT is going to be moving a bunch of the records over to UB, so from ECMC to UB. We may or may not have access to this at any given day. I know July 26th is D-Day, the actual move day. So all we're going to be doing on that particular day is actually moving. We're still here to help. We'll do what we can. And at first we were a little opposed to moving to corporate, but I think it's going to be a good thing. It'll give you guys easier access if you want to come visit, as opposed to having to go through Alcatraz to get to our office up in ECMC. So. On the report, I've listed, addresses, new phone numbers, the EMS main line, my direct line, relative to my cell phone, new fax number, our email addresses aren't changing. So any questions?
I just thought you'd be a little more enthusiastic about moving.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot on the plate right now, so it's we're busy.
All right. Anything for the program agency? Old business. We have the memorandum of understanding for Wyoming-Erie Regional Emergency Services Council and the University Emergency Medical Services, Inc., DBA, UBMD, Emergency Medicine. Has everybody had an opportunity to review it? It was, it wasn't tabled last week, was it?
So should we did vote on, let's see, this question, okay, motion made to approve UB's MG's request for proposal. We approved it last meeting.
All right, so it's all set to go?
Individual vote was taken by the council, was asked if there was confidence, there's none, so it did pass.
All right, my mistake. I was told it wasn't passed.
We did pass it.
Bet you scared you, huh?
You're all right, we're good with that?
What's that?
We don't have, we voted on this last meeting, we're good, right?
No, we voted to accept them as the agency for the MOU. The MOU was not developed yet until recently. So we haven't really approved the MOU yet.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can
So
you
that's
roll that
the
back
vote.
at all? All right, so we are to vote for this. All right. Everybody had an opportunity to read the memorandum of understanding? Anybody need any time to review it now? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to accept and sign the memorandum of understanding for?
So moved.
We have a motion, seconds. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Right.
I remember you were sending it up your chain. Are you okay? There was an email that you had to Mahoney about,
Yeah, so it's gotta be signed by my chair.
but you're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
This
sorry.
MOU should be the,
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's good. Any other old business? Any new business? I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
A motion. Wow, that was with gusto, dude. All in favor? Any opposed?
Good job.